Not every final is some epic, like, look how amazing this is. What a great finals. And I actually think everyone pretending that this Denver ring means something diminishes the rings of other people.
This is sports radio host Eliot Shorr-Parks of Philadelphia.
We were all here in 2017 and saw the Eagles ring. And I'm not making this a Philadelphia thing. It's just the ring I experienced, right? That ring was special. They had the backup quarterback. They got tested in the first round. The Super Bowl was an epic shootout where they got tested. This Nuggets team did not get tested. They were not tested the entire way. And it's not because they're clearing away the best team in the NBA. It's because they didn't have to play anybody. They played nobody on their path to the final.
Kyle Neubeck then brings up how the Eagles beat Case Keenum and Matt Ryan.
But, I mean, you're focusing on one of the 4 games. I'm saying the Super Bowl. Regardless, the point I'm making
is... And they barely beat Matt Ryan. Like what are we talking about here?
They got tested. That's the point I'm making. We never saw this Nuggets team get tested. We never did. They played trash opponents. Nuggets, it was like, it's fine. It's not a finals I'm ever going to remember. It doesn't make me think the Nuggets are way better than the Sixers.
Some fans watching this brought up an old tweet from Parks, which read, I could maybe score a touchdown. I could luck into a home run. I could probably get 2 points in an NBA game. I could play hundreds of games of hockey and never, ever score a goal. It looks impossible. So, this is to give some insights into the person we're dealing with. We'll recap in a moment. The Nuggets and star Nikola Jokic continue to get disrespected. His 52.9 combined average points, rebounds, assists per game in the playoffs is second most in league history, behind some schlub named Wilt Chamberlain. In these finals, Jokic has averaged over 30 points, 14 rebounds, over 7 assists, and over 1 steals, 1.4. He shot 58.3% from the field. He was extraordinary. Now, to give an idea of the level of disrespect here, we saw from Gilbert Arenas this past year say, Jokic can win this championship. No one's going to care. Let's just be honest. I'm sorry. He's not going to go from where he is right now to this super megastar because he's not doing anything kids want to see. It's the players, their personality. Jokic is great, but he doesn't have it. One more, and then we'll discuss. The Ringer said Jokic is the greatest draft pick relative to slot expectations in NBA history. No other MVP in league history was picked lower than 15th. Both Giannis Antetokounmpo and Santa Clara's Steve Nash. And Jokic isn't just the only MVP ever picked 41st. He's the only all-star ever picked at that slot. And now, in the last 3 years, he's won 2 regular season MVPs and a finals MVP. In these playoffs alone, 30, 13 and a hook, 9 and a hook per game on 55, 46, 80. He became the first player to lead the entire postseason in points, rebounds, and assists. Okay. So, just to give an idea of how extraordinary he is, let's go back to what Gilbert Arenas said, all right? With the whole, he doesn't have it. You kind of sound like Skip Bayless. I'm not going to lie. He doesn't have the it factor, Steven. Mark Cuban would follow up brilliantly, and I could even make this into a clip revisiting it, but like the it factor. What is the it factor? The it factor is some smorgasbordy phrase that sports media uses to downplay or lift up a player they like or don't like, when really it's not measured by quite literally anything. There is no formula for it. We can get into sabermetrics. I'm all for that. But there is not anything on Basketball Reference that shows it as a statistic. He also said, it's their personality. Jokic is showing you his personality. He's just not the personality for you. He is not your taste. He could be others. And what's wrong with that? Do you know who it sounds like Gilbert Arenas is speaking for? The United States of America. That's what it sounds like. When really, he's not representative of all of us. It's just his taste. Also, look at the polar opposites, right? Gilbert is a prolific smack talker. Prolific. And he even got it. When he went up to the free throw line and LeBron told him not to choke, and then he did in the playoffs. Gilbert is that guy. Jokic isn't that guy. At least we don't think he's that guy. And for all this talk of like, oh, well, he's the quiet type, he's the reserved type. Are y'all not remembering the talks that you had about Kawhi Leonard? And now you view him as one of the game's best, when healthy, of course, when healthy. The best two-way player in the NBA when healthy. What I also find to be interesting is, let me pull up his name, Eliot Shorr-Parks. And this is not hating on Eliot Shorr-Parks, okay? We're using him as an example here because he put himself out there and said this, which I disagree with. There's something going on in sports media, in politics, alike, where someone says something wrong, they get fact-checked on it, and then they don't admit fault. Because the apology is viewed as weakness when really it should be reserved as a way of showing strength and dignity. We have a big problem with that in sports media. This is also why the Dan Le Batard, Stephen A. Smith conversation was so important. Because Dan said, I hate what you have done to sports media. Stephen A. got very defensive, which is his right. But Dan is also hitting the nail on the head here. And here's why. We have substituted the sports reporters, John Saunders, really like credible journalists who get to the nitty-gritty and formulate their opinions by following the path of truthfulness, and substituted that for hot take, hot take, hot take. Parks was fact-checked by Newbeck, who's a great follow on Twitter, by the way. He was fact-checked by Newbeck and then doubled down on it because he cannot say that he is wrong. And then to give these remarks of it wasn't impressive. Of course it was impressive. Of course it was impressive. It doesn't come with the asterisk of saying, hey, this happened, that happened in order for them to get to the finals and win. It's not an asterisk to say, my view, that the Miami Heat greatly benefited from Giannis Antetokounmpo being injured. I believe that. But they still had to win the games, and they did. And they deserve credit for that. The Denver Nuggets, let me go back for a second. The Miami Heat went up against the Boston Celtics, and Jason Tatum suffered an injury that, in my view, changed the trajectory of the series and went in favor of Miami. They still had to beat him. Jason Tatum at 50%, 40%, 30% is a lot better than most guys on any team. So I just think there's a lack of accountability in sports media. And I absolutely hate that the newspaper industry is crumbling, that The Athletic is firing a ton of its staff, because right now we need those people the most who are neutral and objective and not ones who say Philadelphia is better than this team and that team when they didn't make it. If they would have been better, then you know what they would have done? Won.